Yesterday was a very cool day because I got to play nearly 2 hours of Destiny 2 across both PS4 Pro and PC. I got my hands on single-player campaign, a co-op strike, competitive Crucible 4v4 countdown mode, and after all of that, I want to share my take with you. All the details, the comparison between PS4 and PC, is this really a sequel, and what's it all about? Plus, where does my hype level stand as we approach E3? What's up, everybody? It's Zach, Ghost Trouble, whatever you want to call me, doesn't matter. This is all about Destiny 2. Before we get to the details, though, I want to give you my experience with Destiny 1 so you have some framework. I really was insanely excited for Destiny 1. Bungie is a phenomenal developer. I love what they've done previously. The elevator pitch of this game, what they were selling, was so hot, and I was so ready for it. And I think from a gameplay and mechanic standpoint, they still did deliver a mastercraft level seminar on gunplay and combat and just controls. That to me is phenomenal, and that fluidity feels instantly so cozy, so comfy when you pick up Destiny 2. But outside of that, I found myself disappointed. I found myself bored. Look, I'm not the biggest multiplayer gamer. I don't really go and hang out with friends for hundreds of hours, and that's just not my style. I wanted more out of the single player. I wanted more out of the variety. I wanted more out of the strike bosses. I wanted more out of the pretty much everything. I wanted the systems to be bigger, better, and more diverse. I wanted more dynamism in the game. I wanted the initial promise of Destiny. And so my hope going into the Destiny 2 event was that it would be that fully realized. Now, maybe that was foolish of me because I know that Destiny 1 is insanely successful. I talked to plenty of people at the event that poured 1,000, 2,000 hours into the game, and they loved every moment of it. And I really applaud and respect what this game has done for its community because it's remarkable to see people so excited and to see how many hours and how many friends and how many fun times and laughs and memories and crazy moments were made in that first game. But I think I was expecting Destiny 2 to sort of reinvent rather than just re-up. And to me, and to almost every article I've read, Destiny 2 is kind of more like a way to reset everyone to equal playing field, reintroduce Destiny as a more polished version of itself, and then give you a couple new expansions in the format of a sequel. So the UI looks identical, the game plays nearly the same, the classes are all three there, not a new one. And that's good for some people, right? I don't think you need to reinvent the wheel every time you make a new game. That's not what I was looking for. That's not what I expect. And I wasn't even, looking for as monumental of a leap as something like Assassin's Creed 1 to Assassin's Creed 2. But I felt like they would benefit from a true sequel feel. The goal here had to be, how can we get even more players to experience the joy, the fun, the 1,000 hours of Destiny? And at first blush, I feel like you look at this and you're like, wow, that looks like Destiny 1. But maybe that doesn't matter because the reset is what's important. Putting everyone back on an even playing field, leveling the community, everyone starts at zero again. So now if you are a new player, not intimidated by people at insane light levels, people with insane experience. Granted, those people are going to kick your butt if it comes to competitive, but maybe that reset is all that they were looking to achieve. Personally, I wanted more. The main thing I wanted was a new class. And I've talked with some of my friends about, could they still unveil a new class at E3? Because we've heard that they're going to be showing off a lot more of sort of the adventures, the lost sectors, the bigger open world stuff at E3. And how that sort of has really expanded upon the structure of Destiny 1, and now there's much more for you to go seek out and do. There's dungeons around the world. It's going to be a much more explorable and exciting place and an exciting world than Destiny 1. And that was not shown off at the event. But maybe it's waiting in the wings at E3. This European Dead Zone sounds very cool. I read that, it was initially cut from Destiny 1 and people think it's phenomenal and we're so excited to put it out for Destiny 2. So maybe that will really deliver that sequel feel that I am so craving. But in the meantime, here's what I played. Let's start with the best part. The single-player campaign mission, Homecoming, I felt was very well done. It really elevated the experience beyond what Destiny 1 was capable of providing. Now, what's interesting is majority of that presentation focused on the social aspect, focused on the multiplayer, focused on the raid and the strike and the this and that. I personally felt that the single player was where this game has grown the most. There is some graphical improvement. It's not as much as I'd like. I felt like, hey, you're now making a game exclusively for current gen. You don't have to worry about 360 and PS3, so we should see a bigger improvement. We don't, although there are some instances where you're like, that couldn't have been done in Destiny 1. And I'll get to those in a little bit. But this mission was a much tighter, more story, campaign kind of mission that I always wanted from the first. And it felt like if this is where they go with the campaign, I will be very happy. Because it's really a nice change of pace. Now, the devil's advocate in me says, well, this is the first mission where the tower is being taken over by Commander Ghaul, by his freaking Red Legion, and this is going to be the cinematic start, and then it's going to go back to being far looser of a campaign. But they did spend some time talking about how, hey, NPCs are going to be in the levels. We really want to double down on story. The cutscenes are great. They always look fantastic. So maybe it will carry through. And if it does, I think the campaign is going to be notably better than Destiny 1. And the particle effects, the rain, the fire, it looks really good. My favorite moment of that entire level is when you're walking through a city street. It's kind of like a marketplace. You're fighting against Cabal, and it's cool because there's other stuff going on around you. It doesn't just feel like, hey, this is an empty space where we drop some enemies, go kill them. It felt much more like a true single-player level that you've come to expect in the year 2017. And I like that, and I hope that continues. It looked really good. I got to play it on both PC and on PS4 Pro, and while it runs at 30 frames per second on PS4 Pro, I still felt like it was a step up from Destiny 1. I still felt like I was immersed in a really good-looking game. Obviously, with the uncapped frame rate and the stronger visuals on PC, it does look better. It does run better. That is a slightly, a superior experience if you're more into the visual aspect of things and into the performance aspect of things. But frankly, I felt like Destiny 2 played really good on console. And I'm a controller guy, so it was fun to experiment with the mouse and keyboard, but I will always like it better on controller. And that is one thing that this game was smart to replicate, right? The controls, the flow, the fluidity of combat is phenomenal. Maybe second to none. I feel like those guns are just so fun to use. That combat is so exciting, and that's what has me so enticed to maybe go all in on Destiny 2. There's some other aspects that have me reserved, though. The strike felt just like something out of Destiny 1. There were a couple moments that set it apart. For example, at one point you're fighting a bunch of dogs in this cratered landscape and there's ships flying overhead, and that felt like a size and scope that would have been impossible in Destiny 1. There's a moment where these giant, like, mountain cracker gear blades are busting through the level, and you're fighting guys and trying to dodge them, and that felt much more like a crazy moment that could only be in Destiny 2. But the boss, the enemies for the most part, the whole style, the UI, it all very much could have been DLC for Destiny 1. And this is where I just feel like, man, I wish that they would have said, hey, let's double down and see what kind of craziness we can create. You know, the goal was to make this a 10-year franchise, and I feel like at this point, if they were not going to keep the continuity of characters, why not go big? And people didn't seem to really be that upset about it. For the most part, the vibe was very much like super enthusiasm and super hype. And the changes they made definitely catered towards the hardcore. And some of them just catered to everyone, right? The elimination of going back to orbit is brilliant. I think that is the best upgrade I saw all day, because that is something that slowed down the pace of this and now will speed things up and increase the fun and increase how much you can get done in a play session. That's great. You know, they mixed up the weapons in terms of slots. Now you have a kinetic and energy and power. It allows you to hold more. There's submachine guns. In general, the guns play the same, right? Like, yes, they have different stats. Yes, there are some different abilities. Yes, the exotics are new, but in general, like, it all feels the same. And that part is fine, because Destiny gunplay is very sound. But when you're looking at the character screen and you're seeing, okay, there's a new subclass, you know, in the campaign mission we played as the Warlock with Dawnblade. In the Strike I played as a Titan, but he did not have Sentinel. There's the Hunter with Arcstrayer, the electric staff. Yes, those are new, but I don't like the fact that in general it is very much of the same exact mold. There is no way, just from this screen, to see that this is a sequel. Instead, it could be DLC. Instead, it could be an expansion. And I just wish that they would have expanded upon how many abilities you can carry, or even just, man, if they had introduced a 4th class, I would have been so much more satiated. Now, they did expand PvP to 4v4, so, like, the pipe dream person in me thinks maybe they'll introduce a 4th class to finish out the teams for PvP, but I know they won't. I just think that would have at least been like, hey, something brand new. And people that have put 2,000 hours are so committed to the system that whether they introduce a new class or not, they're going to play because they love it and they want to just see more and more and more. So if it feels like DLC to them, that's fine. If it feels like an expansion to them, that's fine because they just want more content. But I feel like for new players, it would have been really great to say like, hey, Destiny 1 was good. We've made Destiny 2 great. We've expanded on so many quality of life aspects of the game. We have introduced even more social features in the form of clans, in the form of guided games. We've expanded on the explorability and the openness of the world by adding these adventures, by adding NPCs, by adding lost sectors, these dungeons. But without giving a new class or a new mode of play, like something on top of Strike and Raid and Nightfall, I just feel like, is it enough to entice a brand new player? And again, the team and Destiny and Bungie and Activision, Blizzard and all that are banking on the fact that leveling the playing field is going to be enough. And it probably will be. This game is going to make $1 bajillion. I'm in no denial that it's going to be hyper successful. But I just feel like I wish they would have pushed the envelope farther. And I don't feel like that's an insane request. I think in general, the expectations were higher than what we received. And maybe E3 will redefine my thoughts. Maybe their system with this European dead zone, their introduction of some more of those open world elements will really shine. And that would be phenomenal. I'd love that. The new mode was pretty fun in Crucible. I'm not really a big PvP guy, especially not in Destiny, so it's not where I'll be spending my time, but it seemed fun, and people in general really liked that. It controlled well. To me, it looked and felt like Destiny 1. But the new mode, basically, almost like a search-style mode, was really cool, and I was into that. The Strike was fun. Like, I can't deny that the Strike was fun. I just felt like it didn't take a leap that left you going, wow, this is definitely too. It took some small steps, and it made a lot of improvements, but one could argue that these should have been, like, what defines the sequel should not be the improvements that should have been in Destiny 1. Those should have been improvements that were the baseline for what the sequel ended up being. And, you know, it's on PC. It's going to find a huge audience. It's not releasing day and date on PC. I thought that was interesting. You know, the cynic in me thinks, well, they want to double dip just like GTA 5. The line is that they need more time and they want to make it right. And if they do, great. You know, it's got to be done right. But they're not including dedicated servers. It's not hitting on September 8th. I doubt it comes that month. My gut tells me that they are going to drop PC closer to Black Friday, and that it will be a double dip situation for a lot of people. Because how, if you're interested in Destiny 2, are you going to sit there from September 8th to November 11th or November 10th or whatever date and not play? You know, I feel like you're inevitably going to get both. They said, Luke Smith said, that the main three things were a world that pulls you in, amazing things to do, and always someone to play with. And I wanted them to expand on amazing things to do as they did with a world that pulls you in and always someone to play with. Because I feel like they have committed to a better story, a better cast of characters, a better campaign. I feel like they have committed to a better social system, to clans, to guided games, to more opportunity to be involved. The one that worries me is the second pillar. Because I feel like you need more new to have more amazing things to do. And I just... why not a new class? Maybe it would have unbalanced things far too much. But again, you're not carrying over. The whole concept of the storyline here is that the tower is burned, you lose all of your powers, all of your stuff, all your vault, and you gotta go get it back and take down Ghaul. So this is the perfect opportunity to really revamp the system. And you don't have to mess with the controls. You don't have to mess with the idea of the game. You don't even mess with, you know, the armor slots and the weapon slots and anything like that. But why not take more of a chance? And maybe I'm old-fashioned in wishing that it was much more of a design-driven sequel than a player-base, marketing-driven sequel, but at times it feels like that. At times it feels like this could have been an expansion. And Blizzard is no stranger to expansion of the World of Warcraft, but they sure don't call it World of Warcraft 2. And I think that's where there is a little bit of responsibility to deliver a sequel when you say it's a 2. And again, I will reserve judgment till E3. I'm excited. You know, one thing I think that did look great outside of that campaign mission were the new worlds. Earth, Titan, Io, Nessus. I love the one that was like on the trees, like the red forest. That one looked really good. And Destiny 1, if you look at the concept art, it was far more of a lush and like very deep world. It ended up being a very barren world, in my opinion, with not much distinction between the planets. But I hope that they've established more of that here. I'm not expecting it to feel crazy different in terms of the 4 new areas, but I am expecting and hoping that they've found a way to make things more exciting. And from some of the shots, if you watch those trailers, you'll notice that, okay, they're doing some cooler stuff environmentally. They're doing some cooler stuff visually. They're setting the scene with more unique, colorful, vibrant stuff. It has more of a dynamic sense to it, and I like that. I am going to be very eager to see what's shown at E3 because I want to love this game. Look, I would like nothing more than to have this be the game where I go over, 100, 200 hours. I don't really do that. And if there's a game that can get me to do it, then that game is something special. And I would really, really love to be involved in that. I want to be involved in Destiny in the way that I heard people talking about it yesterday. Their level of enthusiasm is contagious, and it's so fun to hear, and I really want this game to do it for me. I think it's a little silly when people are like freaking out over NPCs and levels, because hello, we've had that in single-player games for a long time, and I do wish the UI was different. I feel like just a change like that, okay, right, you're not going to do a new class, you're not going to do a new gameplay mode. Change up the UI, and at least you show people like, hey, this is definitely a sequel. But they are instead sticking to their guns of what made the first one phenomenal and what made the first one a time sink for millions. And that's an interesting approach. For better or worse, I think it's going to work. I just wanted a little more. So I walked away thinking, wow, this game plays great on both PS4 Pro and PC. Wow, the campaign is a step up. Wow, the strike feels a lot like Destiny 1. But it was fun because the gameplay here, the loop, is really, really well built. It is refined, and it was refined in Destiny 1. It didn't need any more upgrade in that aspect. And the social stuff isn't for me, but it's great that it's there. I wanted a little more. And I'm curious to know what you guys think. So let me know in the comments below how you felt about Destiny 2, what you think of my footage, and how the game makes you feel. Is it seem much more like a 1.5? Do you feel like this is a true sequel? If you are a returning player, are you just jonesing for all the little tweaks and the new content? If you're a new player, were you expecting more? Does it entice you that the playing field is leveled? Is that enough for you to get in to Destiny 2, that everyone's up back at the ground floor? Or did you want something that elevated and evolved this game in a way that a 2 probably deserves? And maybe we'll see that at E3. Currently, 1.5, in my opinion. But a very good 1.5. It's hard to argue with a game that plays as well as Destiny. And Destiny 2 is exactly the same in that regard. And that's one where I'm glad it retained so much similarity, because it's fun. And at the end of the day, maybe that's what matters most. So let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Fantastic day, everybody. I love you all. Thank you for supporting me and allowing me to be invited to events like that and bring you guys these kind of opinions and footage. It's super fun, and I'm super blessed and super grateful, and I appreciate all of you for making that possible. I will be covering Destiny 2 at E3. I will be seeing more of it there. I will be playing the game when it comes out. I will be bringing you a whole lot of Destiny 2 goodness. So stay tuned for that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Until next time, everybody, thanks again. Have a fantastic day. Drink some hot chocolate, and we'll see you all later.